We are recording.
Should we do a not brought to you by?
Do you have one in mind?
I have a few, maybe. Nothing's really coming to mind though.
We could do another Ever After.
We'll do an Ever After of Superbad.
Okay. Sure. Sure. I remember that movie.
I'll think on that though. Yeah. Okay.
You good? All right, you're leading on that.
Okay, I'll lead it.
Yep.
Hello. Welcome to Fake Philosophers. Or is it The Fake Philosophers?
Either way.
Anyway, I'm Mitch. With me is Mike.
ITL award-winning Mitch.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, yeah, just the two of us today. And we're counting down the days when that joke is no longer funny. Because it's still pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'm laughing over here.
Even when it's not funny.
It's one of those anti-jokes.
Look at Jim. He's laughing.
I saw he was laughing. So yeah, we'll be honest. We got nothing to say, guys. We're just running out. Here we are, like 23, 24 episodes in, whatever we're at.
Something like that.
Early 20s episodes. We run out of shit to talk about. But so now we've resorted to what we're just doing. What have you been up to, Mike?
Working.
Cool. Same here.
Good keeping the conversation
Just
going.
keep it going. No, it's weird. It's pretty much what I don't know if it's COVID or just because it's just our lifestyle. But my life's pretty much just working and watching shit.
Yeah, I go to work.
Yeah,
Sometimes 6-7 days a week, and then I get home. I drink. I feel guilty because my doctor would be very ashamed of me. And then
well, one show we decided to kick off. What have you been watching? What are you watching Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
We're recording on a Wednesday. What you watching Wednesday? It's a segment on an actual radio show.
Oh,
we might get sued now.
I didn't watch anything today.
No, we might get sued now because that's what name right. But I've been watching American Crime Story Impeachment, which is another American Crime Story is another Ryan Murphy produced show like American Horror Story, Glee.
I think he's done a few American Crime Stories. He did.
Yeah, the first one was the O.J. Simpson trial.
That's right.
The second one was Versace, when Versace got capped.
Yeah.
This one's about the whole Clinton impeachment process. And the O.J. Simpson one I thought was as near to perfect of a show. It was so good. Start to finish, it was so good. Versace, really well made, super gay. Like if you're uncomfortable at all with homosexual stuff, just don't watch it because it was really gay.
I mean,
I finished it and rewatched it, but
I finished it and I finished.
No, I thought it was really, really well made. It's not one I recommend to everyone. Whereas O.J. Simpson, the O.J. Simpson one, I recommend to everyone. This one, the impeachment one, so far is I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I've been watching it with my wife, and it brings us down, like really bums us out. And then we'll be like, we'll wait a few days. And we're like, okay, we're feeling better. Let's watch another episode.
Sure.
No, but the girl that plays Monica Lewinsky, and this is what kind of spurred the conversation for today, I think. The girl that plays Monica Lewinsky, it was driving me crazy because I couldn't remember what the actress was from, what I know her from. And then it suddenly dawned on me. She was in this movie called Booksmart that I think Emily Blunt directed. I think it was Emily Blunt or Olivia Wilde. It might have been Olivia Wilde. I don't remember.
An actress.
Now directing this movie called Booksmart, where the girl that plays Monica Lewinsky, I don't know her name, but she plays one of the she plays one of the main girls in it. Booksmart is basically the female version of Superbad.
Okay.
Because it's these two high school gal friends, best friends, that are going out for a night, like a party night, like the night before graduation or something. So it was in a lot of ways almost exactly like Superbad, just different. Because it was made a couple years ago, whereas Superbad was made 12, 13 years ago. Different generation or whatever.
Ago, yeah.
So it made me think about Superbad, and like, I remember Superbad as being one of the most accurate depictions of a high school boy I've ever seen. All the high school movies,
I feel like it was a little exaggerated.
Even
in high school, I knew. I knew I watched porn. And I obviously knew
I never did.
You never did.
I never have.
I knew some other boys watched porn, but I wouldn't openly talk to my future roommate about what porn. I don't know. It was so funny seeing, but I was like, I don't know if this is
that. Okay, that I'll agree. That's apparently a thing that guys will watch porn together.
No.
Apparently, it's a thing. I've never even dreamt of that.
It's one of the,
what?
I don't disbelieve it. It's one of those things. What was the blue collar comic? I think it's Ron White, who kind of said like everyone's a little gay. Because if you're watching porn, like, do you want a soft dick? And he's like, no, I want that dick nice and hard. And it's like, oh, well, you're a little gay then. I feel like that's one of those things that like, that's like frat gay.
Okay.
Where like you're watching porn with your frat brothers.
The Tropic Thunder line. Everyone's gay once in a while.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood.
But I feel like it's definitely one of those things that like frat brothers do. Like, yeah, we're all gonna fucking watch this gangbang porn. You better jerk off, or else you're not getting. And it's like, this is.
Well, I haven't experienced that.
This is kind of gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Though the Seinfeld.
So the one quick little montage of them watching porn together in Superbad. That's
that's the shit in the salad.
That's just shit in the salad.
No, I love the movie.
Okay.
I don't think it was an accurate depiction of my experience of going to parties.
See, up until I saw that, it was movies like Breakfast Club or whatever high school movie. They make movies about high school kids, and I remember watching it thinking, I wish I was that cool. Like, I wish I could speak that eloquently, but I'm an awkward fucking high schooler. I don't know what I'm saying. But it was so many lines in Superbad where they're like, you know, if you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Well, the funny thing about my back is it's located on my cock. Yeah. It's such a perfect, like, awkward line that I absolutely would have said in high school.
To be fair, granted, obviously it's an over exaggerated movie. There were those scenes where I was like, I could see that guy. I knew that guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I knew this person. Yeah.
Coupled with the ridiculous cops, like, just being so over the top. And okay, so it's not. I'm not saying it's wholly accurate. I'm just saying, in my experience, this is the most accurate depiction of a high school relationship, best friends in high school I've ever seen.
Maybe.
But anyway, we were talking about Superbad just before we started recording, and what came out was the fact I never went to the cliche high school parties.
So when you say high school party, like, so you never went to a house that had a keg or anything like that?
I went to one party where there was underage drinking.
You fucking nerd. I went to one party where there was underage drinking.
And I didn't drink. And it was graduation night. I went.
I love you did not say, I went to a party where there was alcohol. I went to a party where there was beer. I went to a party where there was underage drinking.
It sets the tone. I mean, if you went to a party where people would drink, because I went to plenty of parties where my parents were fucked up, but... But I never drank. No, I didn't. I never drank before in high school. So I mean, I'd have wine every now and then, but I never drank it. I know. Sitting with
this fucking
Doctor.
Your what's her name from Greece? You're Sandy. You had champagne at your cousin's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No,
right.
but that's so watching Superbad, I'm like, they had parties in it, and I don't really know if that was. I mean, after I started having parties, it looked more realistic. But
kind of. What's always interesting is about all these movies, and it's honestly. So we grew up on the West Coast, right? So my girl grew up on the East Coast.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of, and this is a culture war now. No, I think it's almost regional because like we would, I forgot what we watched, but it was like a depiction of like a high school experience, and I was like, I didn't see any of this shit. When I went to high school, and she's like, I did. Because even think about where we went. Like, we didn't have lockers.
Yeah.
Where we put all our shit in a locker. We might have had a pee, but like we didn't have that. There's a lot of differences. Like East Coast, that's normal. Like you don't understand. Like West Coast, LA, we really. Well, I don't know about like LA, but the suburbs, we don't have lockers. We just carry our shit on our backs like all the time.
It was slavery.
Yeah.
It was rough.
And so and it was kind of funny because I remember early in our relationship we talked about that, and I was like, no, I never had a fucking locker where I just put shit. And like that wasn't a thing.
In LA, people put guns in those things. What are you talking about?
But even in the suburbs, like we just didn't have that thing. Like I never grew up with that. So even in high school, when I'd see that, I'm like, is this normal? Yeah. Is my high school different? And in reality, you know what I mean? Like
it was just on the other side.
Yeah, it was just a different experience. And so even that, like my high school party experience was, I would say, very unique. Because so one of my best friends now, Tim, we met in high school, and our relationship was we would tell each other where the parties were. So it wasn't like I got invited to Jim's party.
We just went there.
It was just like Tim would hear about Joe's party, and he would text me, there's a party at this address. And so I would just go to, like, with some friends, random houses, and it was almost like a weird comparison, but I work in metaphors. Like people, like a lot of guys, like the frat stories, like when, oh, let me tell you this sex story, it was so awesome. All of my sex stories that are interesting are me failing at it. You know what I mean? And so all my fun party stories are me trying to go party and just fucking utterly just disaster.
So you have a few of those.
Well, there was one where, and Tim's one of my dearest friends to this day, because at the time that was our relationship. It was just strictly party. We're not friends.
Okay.
Just where's the party? And we developed into friends, obviously. And I still give him shit over this. I was hanging out, and it was all coincidence. I was hanging out with, it was like 2 or 3 of my black friends, and then their black friends.
Okay.
Okay. I was friendly with the blacks in high school.
Back in high school? What do you mean back in high school?
I still carry my level 5 black card. It's out of 8. I still carry it.
It's okay. I
need to renew it. It might have expired this year. I think it's every 10 years.
You gotta retake the test.
I could tell stories. I legit had a good black card.
Oh, wow.
I leveled up, but I didn't just get the shortcut. I earned my stripes. No, so I hung out. It was with like 2 or 3 of my black friends and their black friends, and we all carpooled. And Tim texted me an address, and so we pulled up, and there was everyone's parked in the street, so we parked down the street, and we were walking up, and all of a sudden like we hear a commotion. It's like maybe like 5 houses down still, and we hear like glass breaking, all this shit happening. And we were like, what the fuck? And so all these like white guys come out, hyped up. And
were they watching Rocky or what?
I have no fucking idea. But they all come out, and I don't know. I still don't know to this day what the fuck happened in the house. But there was some commotion, glasses breaking, shit was happening. And so like I want to say like 20 white dudes who were all in the same tribe came out, and they were like white dudes, like they were fucking racist. Like they were fucking those guys. You know where we lived. We knew where we grew up.
Ugh.
They were those guys.
Ugh.
And so immediately we all kind of stopped. And we were like, we shouldn't go. Like them aside, like this party's ending soon.
Yeah.
Because of this. And so we're like, maybe we shouldn't go in. And so all these guys who are hyped up are coming down the street just because they're leaving. And they start dropping like that. Not calling my boys the name,
N-word,
but they're starting saying like, these fucking... And so one guy in our group was like, all I heard is the N-word. And he's like, who said it?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to die. I was like, we're going to die. Because we're way outnumbered.
Yeah.
And granted, thankfully nothing happened. Everything calmed. Like, we calmed the guy down. We left.
Yeah.
And I texted him. I was like, you almost got me fucking killed.
Yeah.
I didn't even walk into the party. We just showed up to have a good time.
Oh, dear.
And we almost get jumped. It was fucking nasty. Yeah, so there was that. There was one party. I alluded to it in a previous podcast. I forget which one. There was one party where... So it wasn't like one of those parties where it's like, hey, open house, everyone come, keg. It wasn't one of those parties. It was a party where it was a friend of mine, a female friend, was having people over. And it wasn't like a romantic interest, it was a female friend. I was invited. It was cool. So she knew everyone at the house. And I remember like the door opened and like, I want to say 10 to 15 people walked in. And it was all, it didn't really matter, but I remember they were all Hispanic. And like no one knew them, and I only knew a few people at the house anyway, because I just was kind of the outlier. But I didn't know anyone. I just didn't think much of it. And she came up to me and she's like, "Hey, no one knows these fucking people. I don't know who these fucking people are. This is an open party. Like I don't want a party. Like this is just people I know." Like,
did you say? What do you mean these people?
Well, she was also brown. She was Filipino.
Oh, okay.
So she counted. No, but but it was very uncomfortable. And she came to me, and so she actually, there was a guy who was a couple years older than us who was like a Marine or something. He was in the military. He was on leave. So he was like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to him. And he came to me, and I was one of them. He's like, you want to come with me? I was like, yeah, I'll talk to him with you. Just because they knew I owned a bar and I had to deal with shit. And so we went and talked to like their alpha, if you will. If you will.
Yeah. No.
And the alpha was cool as fuck. We were just talking to him like, hey, like we're kind of explaining like, hey, like this isn't really an open party. No one really knows you. Like, we don't want to be rude, but like, do you mind leaving? And the alpha was like, you know what, man? Like, you're right. We really don't know anyone here. We're kind of uncomfortable. We're gonna leave.
Cool.
And
that was it, right? That was the end of it?
Of course. So he so he starts leaving, and everyone starts leaving. And of course, it's the smallest fucking guy in their group. As they're walking out the door, he literally turns, and I quote, "This party's for bitches anyway." Not even a good line.
Yeah.
But he's like, "This party's for bitches anyway." But the Marine guy was like, "What the fuck did you say?"
Oh God.
And chases him out, and I was like, "Fuck, here we go."
Yep.
And and yeah, so it was like, oh shit, the girl started freaking out, and I was like, fuck. And so it was really an Avengers style event, because like it was me, the Marine guy, and there was like a handful of different dudes in pairs maybe that all were there that didn't really know each other. But in this moment, we were all like,
reunited.
We're all banding together because we all know her, and we have to defend the fort.
Yeah.
And so we all went outside, and a fight started. It was all yelling at first, but a fight started. I don't remember some of it. Like the Marine guy, I'll tell you there was all sorts of shit happening, but my part of it was I went outside and I was just kind of like, I don't like fighting. I'm not good at it. I'll be honest. I'm not. And I was just like, fuck. Like, what do I have to do? I had a beer in my hand still. I was like, fuck. So the Marine guy squared up in one of their guys, and they started fighting. This guy's fucking huge, not like buff, like fat.
Oh shit.
And so they start fighting.
Not buff, like fat.
Yeah, and so somehow he gets on top of the Marine, like just hitting him.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's tons of shit going on because it's like just scattered everywhere. But so I run up, and I still remember this shit. Comparing to movies, I have a full beer, and I hit this fucking guy, the guy on top of the Marine, in the head 3 times with the bottle, and it doesn't break. I was like, dunk, dunk, dunk. And it didn't break, but eventually by the 3rd hit, he was like, and he fell over, and the Marine recovered.
Wow.
And started, I was like, okay, and the beer was foamy as fuck. And I was like,
beer ruined.
I actually tried sipping it, and it didn't, like, I was like, fuck, and I dropped it. I turned, next thing I know, the girl who had the party, she was like in the driveway now, on her knees, and like this big bitch with them had her by the hair and just fucking socking her.
No.
And I was like, oh shit. So I started heading over there. And so like our girl's like kind of boyfriend at the time, grabbed the chick and like yanked her off and started like yelling at her. I grabbed the girl and went to the door and started banging on it because there were still people inside. I started banging on it. And I think at the time, someone followed me and like hit me in the back. But at the time, I didn't. I was just focused on her.
Yeah.
So I'm a hero. No, but I remember I think someone came after me, but they realized what I was doing and they just left me alone. So I banged on the door, and this dude, I forgot his name. He was effeminate, a gay guy who just avoided the fight.
The smart one of them.
Yeah. So he was inside. I banged it. He opened the door, and I was like, hey, I kind of pushed her in. I was like, that's where, because I didn't want to fight. I'm not a good fighter. I was like, I'll watch the door. Okay. And so I told him, I was like, do not
shut up, pie.
Yeah, but I was like, do not open this fucking door unless it's me. And he was like, oh yeah. And so like I stepped aside, and this other chick that was with us, her name was Priscilla. She was fucking rocking shit.
Yeah.
She was fighting. Like she was handling bitches. Because there were several. And I kind of no, there was she was
party was for bitches anyway.
Yeah, but she was handling them. And at one point, like I was like, hey, like the fucking side, because we have to protect our girls. And I was like, hey, come on. And she's like, what? And I was like, get the fucking side. So she kind of jogged over. I opened the door. I was like, fucking get in there. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone charging me.
Oh, no.
And I was like, ah! Fucking got it.
Turned and clocked?
Right in the chin. It was kind of, if you're watching, it's like on this part, like below your pinky.
Oh, the pinky kind of.
Kind of like on the side like that.
Yeah.
Fucking hit right in the jaw.
Hammer fist, perfect. Okay, yeah.
Right in the jaw, knocked him over. It was the chick.
No.
That was...
No way.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was the chick. that... That's what the joke is. Like the one time in high school I knocked a bitch out. But I thought it was a dude charging me. And so that's what was funny about it.
Did everyone stop?
No one saw it.
Okay.
No one fucking saw it. I think one guy saw it. Because like I said, at the time, I'm telling my version.
Yeah.
There was all sorts of shit happening.
Yeah.
Like there was a guy who was like pulling a knife. Like her boyfriend had like a knife to his throat.
Oh my god.
But he was like, fucking do it. Like there's all sorts of shit happening.
Was this in Fontana?
Yes.
Okay.
Northern Fontana.
Yeah.
The nice part of Fontana.
Northern Fontana. That's weird.
I think it was Civil War.
All the Southern Fontanas
all
came up.
Southern Fontanas came up to take back their land. I know.
Oh my
But
God.
no, but there's all sorts of shit happening. But that was my perspective.
You just knocked.
Because later on, to fast forward for a moment, later on, I think it was the Marines, someone was like, hey, did I see this correctly? Did you knock that chick out? It was something like that, to where it was just like silly. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
But so it was, what was funny, like in the moment, it was very serious, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I just swung because it wasn't like the person running at the door. It was coming at me.
Right. You didn't know.
And so I just swung, hit. She fell to the ground in the grass, like stumble, fall. And then I realized, oh shit, that's a chick. But I couldn't say sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like
Shit, my bad.
So I kind of just like mad dogged her. I was just kind of like, if you're watching, I kind of just gave her like the
look,
fuck with me, like
go ahead.
You saw what happened.
Yeah,
like
that's right. I'm that crazy. I don't care.
And so she kind of like got up and was like fucking just walked away. And around that time, I actually stepped out into the fray.
Yeah.
And things were calming down a little bit. And at that point, I just kind of was like, all right, get the fuck out, like separating people.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of a funny experience. Because then later, I kind of didn't talk about it. Because even in the moment, it was the heat of the moment. Even after that, I was like, I'm just not going to bring that up.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the Marine guy. It was like, hey, did I see this? Like, did you knock that bitch out? And I was like, yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
So it's always funny. It's one of those stories where, like, without context, where it's like, oh yeah, I knocked this bitch out in high school.
Everyone's like,
whoa. And then once they hear the context, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But no,
it's one of those things. It's like you're not going to win that if you see them on YouTube all the time. Like the girls attacking a guy, the guy's going to lose no matter what happens.
No, even without seeing it on YouTube, it's a fact.
Yeah.
Because gender equality aside, if a chick is fucking with you and you let her and she fucks you up, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
You're an ass, or you're because a chick beat you up.
Yeah.
But then if you
knock her back, then then you beat women. And
yeah, and there is a happy medium to where like you restrain her until someone can grab her, but that is so hard to do if someone's fucking with you.
Especially if everyone's a little drunk and fighting.
In this situation, if I realized that was a chick and I tried to restrain her, she would have kicked my ass.
Yeah. So you do the Karate Kid like spinner, around.
It's you stand, you hold her hands.
The Bill Burr method.
Yeah, there you go, the Bill Burr method. Yeah, but no. Anyway, high school parties.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
There's that one. I was at a high school party where there was a shooting.
Oh shit.
It sounds worse than it was. It was actually very funny.
Like they filmed a movie.
No. No. So this was in
dumb joke.
Yeah, in Fontana. Of course.
Was it?
This is actually South Fontana. This was Fontana.
Great start.
We were at a party. It was kind of not a great party, but we were hanging out. A lot of people. This is one of those public parties. Like flyers had to be passed out to like 10 different high schools.
Okay. The cops are gonna come.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was horrible for 90% of the people there. It was very funny to me, which is weird coming from like the white guy at a party in Fontana. But so it was whatever. Like I had some drinks and there's a pool and we were outside if I remember correctly. You know, you kind of remember things different, but I remember like there was definitely gunshots, pop, pop, and you heard someone fall into the pool.
Oh no!
I don't know the context. I don't know what happened. All you heard is pop, pop, pop. Someone fell in the pool.
Yeah.
So everyone's and started running. Because gunshots, but like no. There's only one exit in the backyard. So everyone was like funneling to that. So even though everyone was trying to run, like me and my buddy were at the back of one of our guys was at the front. So that'll come up later because that's important. Because that's where the funny part comes. But it's like me and my buddy, we were like behind this herd of people. And we were moving like a foot at a time because everyone was funneling through this small exit. So we're just kind of like, all right, like why? We're not even like, we're not targets.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah, we're not targets. Like they're not trying to shoot us. It's very like people don't just start shooting people at a party. They're shooting a specific person. We're just like, fuck. So when we get through the door, we're the last we're like the last few people out. There are cops already outside.
Yeah.
And there's people getting up off the ground. What we found out what happened was before the shots went off, the cops were already there. There's like 3 or 4 units there.
Wow.
And they were getting ready to come in and break the party up.
Sure.
Then the shots happened. So you have like probably 3 or 4 cars. So you're looking at like 6, 7, 8 cops.
Yeah.
And so all you know is that these cops are outside this house, and dozens of fucking people start charging out.
Oh my god!
Because of the shot, and
yeah.
And so what our buddy, who was like one of the first people out, said, and every time when he told this story, I imagined almost like the scene from Saving Private Ryan running up the beach.
Yeah.
When people are just dropping.
Yeah.
That's a horrible comparison.
Oh my god!
Because what he said was pretty much when people were, because that first line of people running out were full on sprint, because then that got clogged up. But he said like, imagine you're a cop and all these fucking people are charging out the door.
Yeah.
So tasers.
Oh no!
So he said he was running. It was like person drop, boom, person drop.
They're just tasing kids as they were running.
And so he said that he was running and people were just dropping next to him.
Oh my god!
We didn't find him till like 20 minutes later. He just ran.
Yeah,
like
just
down the
kept
street.
going. Oh my god!
Because when we were getting out, the cops were actually helping some of these kids up.
Oh my god!
Because like they were just like fucking taser. And kudos for their restraint.
Yeah, they just open up on a.
Yeah, because that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
But so it was super funny because like it was like shooting, everyone was panicking, and me and this guy were like, "This is fucking annoying. We can't get out the goddamn gate. There's too many people." Meanwhile, our friend was having a panic attack because all these people are just dropping next to him. And we found him like it was like 15, 20 minutes later because like I had parked like a block away. I had drove that night, and he like ran all the way to the car. Because he was just like, fuck this.
Like, where are you?
He was like, fuck this. Because we're like, where'd he go? And we found him. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't have the super bad experience.
It sounds like I really missed out on all these high school parties.
Yeah. There were probably some good ones mixed in there that I don't remember.
Yeah. No, I mean, my friends were never into the party scene. So my parents were really like, not super strict, but they were, like,
you said, yeah.
You know, and like my dad like drank in high school. He'd smoke pot in high school. You know, not shaming my dad, but like, you know, he had
this fucking sinnering motherfucker.
Yeah, he had his like wild days in high school, and he was like, "You're not doing that shit." And I feel like if I ever came home 16 and drunk, he'd be like very disappointed, but he wouldn't like come down on me.
He would be like, pissed off. He'd see you and be like, "Well, I was that."
It's like you should have been better. You know, that kind of thing.
Well,
and
yeah,
two of my other close friends were like same exact parents, same kind of things. And then another good friend of ours, his parents were cops. So it was just like the party scene wasn't really in our wheelhouse.
You had a limited access.
Yeah, and our friends were kind of like, we don't see the appeal of the party.
Yeah.
My friend was building potato cannons and shooting them at us as we were driving by on our bikes. That was fun enough.
Perfect.
Yeah. But
there was, to relate to that, kind of. So my parents bought the bar when I was in high school, and there was a night where
the Hoka Palace.
Yes, at the time they would stay late because they had to be there all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And so there was one time where like they were gone and they were at the bar, and it was around the corner of the house, but like I was like, they're gonna be gone for a while. So I started drinking some of their beer, just watching TV. And it was still it's one of those things like you notice it, but like this is gonna sound dark, but like once your dad passes away, I'm sure you'll have these moments where you remember things and you're like, oh, that was kind of a nice memory.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so I was like 16 or 17, and I was sitting on the couch just watching TV. I think it was a Michelob Ultra at the time. God, have I evolved. And I was sitting there watching TV, and I didn't even hear him pull in or anything. And my dad just walks to the door, and I'm sitting there with a beer in my hand, and I was like, oh. Because I think most parents are fine with their kids drinking if they're responsible.
Yeah.
But that first interaction is always breaching the gap.
I was doing it when you weren't watching.
Yeah, or just breaching the gap is always uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The first time. And so I was like, oh. And so he kind of looked at me and he walked in. He cracked open a beer and he sat on the couch.
Whoa.
And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Cool. And so I didn't say a word. I didn't say a fucking word.
Yeah.
And so we're just drinking. And then like 20 minutes later, my mom comes home and she walks in. And she's like, what the hell's going on here? Because like I said, I think my dad was always very much like, I don't give a shit person.
Yeah.
But my mom was like, what the hell's going on here? And my dad was like, what? And she's like, your son's drinking a beer. And he's like, oh yeah, Michael was drinking a beer and he's home, so I thought I'd sit and have a beer with him.
Wow.
And mom was just like, unbelievable. And just walked away. But she didn't even stop it. She just walked away, and I was like,
yeah.
Am I in trouble? Am I in trouble?
Yeah. Wow. I can't think of like exact examples, but I remember elements of that. Of mom being like, what? And it being kind of like, no, I'm there now in my life. I'm at that point.
I think that there is always that transition, because once they like once you know, like, oh, they're drinking. I
Yeah.
drank at that age.
Yeah.
But it's always just like my dad gave two shits. Like
Right.
he was just like, whatever.
But to mom, it's like, oh, that was my little boy. And
Yeah,
now
yeah, yeah.
he's,
Especially
now
I was the youngest. So
yeah,
of
and now
course.
he's drinking beer. What? No, you know.
But even she was just like, oh, unbelievable. And she didn't stop us. She just walked away.
yeah.
So there was a cool moment of the parents. But
I think in that moment, I'll speak for your mom. But I think
right.
in that moment, she was more upset that you were at that age. Not that you were doing it,
Probably
but that
that.
you were there.
And I think she was possibly slightly disappointed that my dad just sat down and had a beer with me.
It's like, well, no, we were supposed to sit with him and share the beer together.
It was
we
the dad
gonna
thing. And to be honest, knowing my father, may he rest in peace, knowing my father, he probably didn't even think that much into it. He was probably like, oh, Mike's having a beer. Oh, beer sounds good. He was probably like, yeah, fucking have a beer. He probably didn't even think that much into it. Like, I don't think he thought like, oh, I'm going to have a beer with my son for the first time. He was like, oh, beer sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
What a cool guy.
My dad also got me out of trouble one time.
One time.
Not to hit. He didn't try to. So we were at a party. This is actually one of the coolest cop experiences of my life too. For every bad cop story, there's a good cop story, and I'm going to provide a good cop story.
Okay.
New segment. Good cop story.
Good cop, bad cop.
I have a couple good cop stories. No, so we're at this party, and I was with my friend Kyle. He drove. He was, and to be fair, he wasn't even drinking. He drove. He was just there to get some pussy and whatever. But so cops showed up, and they were because I've been at times where they're just like, everyone go the fuck home, whatever. These cops were like, we're writing tickets.
Wow.
Like they were fucking. They're not fucking around. So they had everyone line up against the wall. Like, we're going to go down. We're going to check IDs. We're going to take your information. We're doing all this shit. And I was like, fuck, because I absolutely was drinking. And this one cop, like, was just eyeing me. And he pointed at me and was like, hey, come here. If you're only listening, not watching, I'm doing the come here with the finger.
Come hinder.
Yeah, come here.
Come hither.
He didn't say a word, but he kind of did that to me. And I was like, fuck, what happened? So he kind of walked me to the other side of the yard where no one can hear me. And he's like, hey. Your dick's son, right? I was like, what? And so I guess we've tried to avoid, but I'll say, he's like, Roadhouse. Your dick's son, right? Roadhouse. Your dick's son. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, are you here alone? I was like, no, I came with my friend. Or I think he said, did you drive?
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no, my friend drove. He's like, who's your friend? So I pointed at Kyle, and all Kyle sees,
is you walking
he told me later.
God.
He told me later that he was fucking fuming.
Oh my God.
All Kyle
Amazing.
sees is me going right there.
Pointing at him. Amazing.
And so the cop then does the, hey,
You.
come here. Come here.
Come hither.
And you could, even in the moment, Kyle was just like, you motherfucker.
Rat.
And so he comes over and he's like, I was told you drove tonight. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, are you drunk? And he's like, no, I haven't had a drink, sir. And he's like, okay. Get the fuck out of here.
Amazing.
Because I was like, what the fuck? And so he's like, get the fuck out of here. I don't know what, like, if he was a customer. Because I was young at the time. I don't know what his relationship to my dad was. But so he said, he's like, are you Dick's son? Roadhouse. Wow. Are you Dick's son?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, get the fuck out of here. And so we walked, and as soon as we breached to where like no one could hear us, Kyle was like, "What the fuck was that about?" And I was like, "I don't know, but let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go. Let's go.
The fuck out. Let's get the fuck out. Let's go."
And so that was because he even told me later that when he saw me point at him, he was like, snitches. "You motherfucker."
Snitches get stitches, man.
Oh yeah.
Dude, hilarious. Well, it sounds like you have the average high school party experience that I definitely missed out on.
There was.
I can't say I regret it, but
it's one of those things. I think it's because they say like the bad stories are the better stories.
Yeah,
they're more interesting to tell.
Yeah.
But I will say, there's one more good cop story I want to tell.
Okay.
I have several, but there's one because I only remember it because it was at literally the same house, the same party, like not the same party, but the same house.
Fool me once.
Yeah, different cop, same house, a different time. So. All this shit aside, earlier that night there was going to be a fight at the park nearby, and we went, and this cop came in, kind of hassled us. You have weed and shit, whatever. And I didn't even smoke weed, but he hassled me about it, and I was like, whatever. 2 hours later, we go back to this party, and like, all that aside, because there's all this other shit going on during the party. But I remember the cop showed up, and this cop was the same one that fucking harassed us over the weed shit, which all the guys I was with at the time absolutely had weed on them. I did not smoke weed in high school. I just didn't. But they all had weed on them. This cop shows up, same shit, has everyone line up, and he goes, "Hey, I see alcohol. I see booze. I see kegs. I see beer. If you're drinking this shit, you have to be 21 and over legally. So who here is over 21?" And obviously, like, no one raises their hand. Everyone's like, shit. He's like, okay, let me be more specific. He said, let me be more specific. Let me clarify. I'm not checking anyone's ID. You know?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not checking anyone's ID here tonight. But if you're under 21, I'm going to have to cite you, and you're going to get in trouble.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you again. I'm not checking IDs. Who is over 21 and can drink? Everyone. Fucking hands up. And he's like, that's what I thought. Get the fuck out of here. I forgot what he said, but he was like, fine.
Go
home. This party's over.
Yeah.
Go the fuck home.
I don't want to deal with this shit tonight.
Yeah, and in my head, at first, because I said earlier in the night I dealt with him because he hassled us. But at the same time, I was like, okay. This guy gets it.
He gets it.
He knows we're just a bunch of fucking kids.
He had some beers in high school.
Yeah.
He has his line which is weed, which is, everyone has their line.
Yeah.
But he's like, that's cool. That's cool. Cops are cool, man.
And I actually do have other cool cop stories I could save.
We'll call it good cop, bad cop segment or something.
For next time a kid gets shot.
Yeah, there you go. Every time
we'll say this is dog shit awful. But remember, there's good cops.
Yeah. Every time, I was going to go dark with it. Never mind. I'll save it for the next segment.
You're going to go dark with it.
I was going to go real dark with it.
Real dark.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, well, thank you for those stories. That was amazing.
Yeah.
It's good podcast stuff.
Michael's high school experience.
Michael's high school.
Michael's high school experience.
It's really good with the podcast with all the visual aids too. So, I'm fucking with you. No, but hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for this trip down memory lane, remembering high school days. You asked for shorter episodes. We're giving you shorter episodes. So, bye.
Emphasis on bye.
Bye.